Hey there, and welcome to another video. It's Simon Hurley from Inklips. Today, I'm excited to be joining Newton's Nook for the second day of their release week for September. Today, they are releasing the stamp set called Touchdown Tales, and I love all the different characters and animals wearing their different football gear, uniforms, and helmets in this stamp set. I think it's just perfect for the upcoming football season, and if you guys have any sports fanatics in your family, this will be great to give them a card with these images on it, and I just love all the different sentiments that go along with it and different items as well. So I'm just starting off by stamping this little bear with the football, and I'm going to kind of stamp him in the middle of my paper, kind of towards the left, and I'm going to stamp him down, giving it some good pressure using the Simon Says Stamp black ink. I wanted to give you guys a close-up today on how to use the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. I love using these markers, and actually on Periscope I got an idea from one of my viewers that they wanted to see me use these markers without using water. I've done it in the past, but I didn't really go into too much detail explaining, so I wanted to do that in today's video. When using these markers, you really want to use the right watercolor cardstock. If these markers aren't working well for you, you might want to consider switching your cardstock. I use the Canson watercolor cardstock, and I'll have it linked down below in the video description, or you can check over my blog. You can probably find it there as well, and I'll have it linked. But it's a really nice watercolor cardstock, and I find that it blends your markers super well. You can also use Bristol cardstock. I've actually seen a couple people using that, and it works really well. I found, however, that this Canson works really well for me, so this is what I'm going to be sticking with. Now, you can also use these pens with water, which I think it also gives some great results. Some people like to keep the color very vibrant while using these pens, just how we're going to do today, and some like to use water. It kind of really depends on what look you really want to go for, whether you want to soften the colors or keep them super bright. Today, I wanted to keep them super bright, so I wanted to keep all the color in, so I didn't use any water for these pens. So to blend, you just want to keep going back and forth, kind of like Copics, over the colors, and it will blend them together really nicely. I'm going to show you how to color the bear's head, and then we're going to move on to the background. So to color this, I'm kind of going in from the sides, and then I'm also going to go in around the snout and around the ears as well. You also want to kind of bring your Copic principles into this as well. So you want to use the drop shadows, so wherever the snout will meet the head, there's going to be a shadow there, and kind of on the sides of the heads and under the ears as well, there's going to be shadows there. So you kind of want to bring the Copic principles into this as well, and that's what I really like about coloring mediums in card making. You really can bring most of the tips you learn from one and kind of bring it into the other. So I'm just going to be blending these out, and like you can see here, you can kind of just pull the color out from the other color, and it'll kind of move each other. Now, if you find that you're getting too much pigment on your brush by picking up the darker color, you can always wipe it off to the side if you want a really light color, and it's kind of your choice. You really just want to kind of pull this color apart and kind of blend it together, and I find that with these pens, it's one of my favorite coloring mediums to use. I love watercolors and things like that, and to me, this is kind of sort of like that. And I really love using it with these different blending things, and using it without water is a lot of fun as well. One thing I forgot to mention is that these pens are actually a real brush, so they're really easy to use, and it's almost like kind of painting with a paintbrush, except you got all these different awesome colors. So now to move on to the background, I wanted to create a background that would be really dark and vibrant at the beginning and where the bear is standing, but then I wanted it to fade out into a really light color. So the way I'm doing that is by kind of creating a little hill here. I wanted it to look like he was just coming back from, scoring a touchdown or something, and he was kind of coming over the hill. So that's really when I kind of made like a little hill there, and I'm using the darkest colors towards him, and then I fade out into a lighter color. Also, I'm going to be using water on this background just because I wanted it to fade out and I thought it would be a better look. So like I had mentioned before, if you have too much pigment on your brush, you want to wipe it off to the side, so that's what I'm doing here. If you ever see my brush kind of go off screen, that means I'm wiping off some of the pigment. So to get it to really fade out, you really want to wipe off some of that pigment and then kind of take your color and blend it out right to the edge. And I find that that gives the best results. I also wanted to add a really dark line up against the edge where the sky and the grass meet, and I found that I wanted to add some shadows there as well. So like I'd mentioned, I'm just adding, I'm kind of pulling that color out and really blending it. So then I did the same thing with the blue sky, and I'm actually just going to fade it the same way, and I'm just wiping off my brush and kind of fading it out, going right up to the edge and kind of pulling that color out until it gets white. This is a super easy technique, and I find these brush pens to be really easy to use, and this coloring it only took me a short time, and I really enjoyed doing it. So you guys probably, if you've watched some of my videos in the past, you know that I love adding white dots and detail to my cards. So I'm going to go in with my white gel pen and add some to the ground, and I'm also going to add some to the sky, just adding a couple of little bigger dots, and I'm also going to kind of fill it in with some smaller dots as well, here and there. And you kind of want to group them together in groups of 2 or 3, and I find that looks the best. It's kind of, instead of using the sequins, I like to embellish my cards to make it look a little bit more masculine with these white dots. So now I'm just going to be embossing my sentiment. I didn't like how it was stamped directly onto the panel, and I wanted to give it some dimension. So here we go. I'm going to use some embossing ink, and I'm going to stamp this happy birthday sentiment onto that craft cardstock. And I've actually white heat embossed that and added that onto my card with some foam tape there. Then I'm going to be adding some glossy accents to the eyes and the nose. I'm also adding a little bit to the background as well. And you guys will see that a little bit here. I'm going to add a couple of little dots here to kind of go along with those white dots in the background, and they're really quite subtle, and once they dry, it'll only really be seen when you tilt it in the light, so I think that's really awesome, and it adds even some more fun detail and dimension. And I'm also going to add some dots to the ground as well. So that finishes off our card for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed seeing what I did with this Touchdown Tales stamp set from Newton's Nook, and I really love those Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens as well, and I think they give a great colored image. If you'd like to see what all these other designers did with this stamp set, I encourage you to hop along the rest of the blog hop to see what these talented designers did, and leave a comment, and you could be entered to win this stamp set. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. The stamp set will be available on the 25th for you to purchase at newtonsnookdesigns.com, and all the products will be listed and linked down below in the description. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.